Hi, you're with Andrew and Vanessa at Yogi Moksha, and today we're working on a 60-minute wall yin functional yin practice. So why use the wall? Why wall yin? Well, in our typical yin practice, we don't invert. So if inversions are something that you're comfortable doing and that you enjoy, using the wall is one way of incorporating some reasonably mild inversions into your practice. We're going to start, as we always do with our practices, with some breathing, just to bring our focus inward, internally, make us more aware of the energetic movements of the practice. And we're going to start with breathing in a wall yin pose. So Vanessa, if you could just perhaps shuffle back towards the wall, take your side to the wall. And then we're just going to pivot the body so that the legs come up the wall. We're going to want to keep the glutes, the butt, as close to the wall as we can. So maybe shuffling the hips down towards the wall, legs straight up. And we're going to start with our breathing in what's known as a wall butterfly. So bringing the feet down, soles of the feet touching each other, very similar to the butterfly in a normal yin practice, using the wall as support, and just getting settled, ready for our breathing here. So if you're comfortable, bringing the eyes to a close. Maybe since we've got the opportunity here, lying on our back, maybe you could put one hand on the belly, one hand on the chest, as Vanessa has. And just start to bring the attention and focus to the breath. As we inhale, feeling the air move into the body, through the nostrils, back of the throat, down into the lungs. And as we exhale, feeling that air coming back out, throat, nostrils, tip of the nose. Just a natural rhythm, always through the nose, the inhale and the exhale. And with your hands on the chest and the belly, just feeling the rise and the fall of the body. The rise of the body as you inhale, and the fall as you exhale. Making this movement your primary focus. Still aware of our surroundings and what noises, smells, sights there might be around, but just pushing them to the background a little bit, just tuning them down a little bit, and bringing to the fore the movement of the breath and the body in response to the breathing. As the belly and chest rise and fall. Just reinforcing that linkage between the breath, the energetic body, and the physical body. As we breathe in, we are drawing in air, and that causes the chest and belly to expand. But we're also drawing in energy or prana into the body. And as we lie on our back, feeling the physical movement, perhaps we can also feel or start to sense there's more energetic movements as the energy enters the body and then disperses through from the lungs to the rest of the body, the arms, the legs. So just continuing to breathe here. Inhale and exhale. Just a gentle opening up of the groin as well. Just going to allow some of that energy, make it easier for it to flow down the legs. Using this stillness and this silence to refocus from what we were doing before, to bringing our absolute attention and focus to this 60-minute practice. Maybe setting an intention now if you have one. And if not, maybe just setting the intention to be fully aware and present in the practice. And so for our first posture, we're going to work the hamstrings. And for that, we're simply just going to extend both legs up the wall. So bringing the knees together, taking both legs up the wall. Maybe making sure again, just shuffling into the wall, make sure that we've got those hips as close as possible. With most of the postures, we want to make sure that we're right up against the wall. So just settling into the posture, finding that edge. Relaxing the hamstrings. Taking the breath to the hamstrings if we need to relax them. And as we relax, just finding stillness. We can put the hands down by the side of the body if we're more comfortable. We can rest them on the body. We could even take them over the top of our head if we wanted, just exploring how this affects the posture. For us, the target area of the hamstrings. And just settling with the one that works for you today. Finding that stillness, exploring the connective tissue stress in the physical stillness. Coming all the way up the back of the legs. Maybe coming up through the glute. Not so much in the back now as a typical caterpillar in a floor yin. Supported on the ground with the back. So the focus is very much in the back of the legs and in the glutes. Maybe also working with the mental stillness. Sometimes much easier in wall yin to background the physical aspect of the practice because we're well supported by the floor and the wall. And this allows us to really achieve quite a deep mental stillness. And exploring that stillness, we may well find emotions or thoughts come to mind. And if that's the case, just allow them to arise and then drift off. We don't need to worry about resolving them or thinking about them. Just let them come up and drift off like clouds. Just maintaining this silence now for the final minute in this posture. Really sinking deep in. Couple more breaths. And getting ready for our next posture. So we're just going to move between postures. And for this one, we're going to be working the hamstring and the groin, but it's an asymmetrical pose, so we're going to work one side at a time. We're going to start with the left-hand side. We're just going to allow that left leg to drop down the wall towards keeping it extended to one side. The right leg, as an option, we can keep the right leg straight up as Vanessa's showing here. Or, as an option, we can bend that knee and bring that foot down on the wall. So you might just want to play with, explore those two. And again, relating the variations back to what's happening in the target area. So in the target area of the hamstring and the groin of the left leg. So is it better for you to have this right leg bent, or just continue to have it up the wall as we were? So just exploring those options as we find our edge. Find the edge, pausing, using the breath to just relax the hamstring and groin in the left leg. Again, whatever position we choose with the arms, it can be on the body, alongside the body, or above the head. If we've relaxed and things have opened up a little bit more, just allow that to happen. You may find, as Vanessa's leg just did, the left one, just comes down a little bit more as the muscles relax, as the stress passes to the connective tissues. That's fine. It's not a static stillness in any yin posture. It's a soft stillness that allows us to progress a little bit deeper. So from within that stillness, just explore the physical element, the connective tissue stress in the left hamstring and groin. You may well find there's a little bit on the right hand side, but the primary focus is on the left hand side. Also going to get some healthy stress here in the bones. Maybe the femur, pelvis, hips, maybe even a little bit down the base of the spine. So just allowing the physical aspect of the posture to really deepen. As with all of our yin practices, it's the time in the posture that's important, that allows those connective tissues to almost start deforming a little and then reforming into their longer and stronger state that we want them to be in. And then working with the stillness in the mind, just bringing our attention to the target area and allowing that clear mind to see any thoughts or emotions arising. And again, we'll just spend the last minute in stillness and silence. Couple more breaths here before we get ready to swap sides. So maybe on the next inhale, just drawing that left leg back up to the center. I need a little hand from the left hand. Maybe straightening both legs up before we do exactly the same to the other side. So just allowing that right leg to drop out to the side along the wall. And as we find our edge, we might explore whether that left leg stays straight up on the wall or we bend it down, bend the knee and bring the foot down the wall. And obviously you could play with the position of that left foot, moving it left and right, just seeing if that has any effect on the right groin and hamstrings at the target area. And just finding the combination that works, at least at this first edge. Finding that first edge, using the breath to relax the muscles in the right groin and hamstring, breathing in there, using the energetic body to relax the muscles, allowing the leg to move further down the wall, the right leg if that's what happens as we relax. Don't resist and support it, just allow it to open. Making any adjustments we need to before we find some stillness in the posture. Physical stillness, we explore the connective tissue stress in the hamstring and the groin. So we might feel that hamstring stress all the way down the back of the right leg. Maybe even sometimes it starts, or it feels like it starts, in the sole of the right foot, going all the way up the inside or the back side of the leg, and the groin more on the inside. We might also feel a little bit of something in the groin, so in the glute, but our primary target areas are the groin and the hamstring. Allowing that to deepen. And then working with the stillness of the mind, the mental stillness. The calm and stillness that being supported by the floor and the wall allows. Clears the mind of any obstructions. Maybe allows those thoughts or emotions that we've been suppressing for a while, maybe they just start to bubble up. And that's a good thing. Just let them come up. And for now, just float off. Now spending the last minute or so of this posture in stillness and silence. Couple more breaths before we get ready to move to our next posture. So maybe just a couple of deeper breaths. Before we give that right leg a bit of a hand, maybe taking both legs straight up the wall again where we started with the wall caterpillar. Now we're going to bring the legs into what's known as a wall figure 4. So we're going to start on the left hand side with the left leg. Bending the right leg and then bringing that left leg down with the ankle resting on the right knee. Finding that edge. Our options here are how high up we've got the right foot. We could start with the leg completely vertical, or we could start bringing that foot down. And the more we bring that right foot down, the more intensity we're going to get in that left glute. So finding the edge, first edge, just seeing what works for you. Using the breath, breathing into that left glute. Relaxing the muscle. a couple of times, a couple of breaths. It's a relatively large muscle group, the glute, so sometimes it can take a few breaths to relax it. And as it relaxes, maybe the posture opens up. That might allow us to adjust a little bit. Maybe we bring that right foot down a bit, maybe we just leave it where it is. And you can see here also that Vanessa's got her left hand on the left knee. And that's not so much pushing the knee towards the wall, but it may just, by placing the hand there, we may find that just intensifies the stress in the left glute a little bit. So finding our stillness in our posture, physical stillness, and the physical stillness, again a soft, open stillness that allows us to sink deeper. In our physical stillness, we explore that connective tissue stress in the left glute. Maybe there's a little bit of something there in the outside of the left leg. We're also going to get some healthy compression or stress on the bones, the knee, femur, pelvis, hip joint. Just sinking, let yourself sink into the mat, sink into the posture. Again, now perhaps putting the physical aspect of the posture into the background. Bringing the mental stillness forward. And just opening up. Opening up as we spend the final part of the posture again in stillness and silence. A couple more breaths here before we get ready to move into a different posture. So again, maybe a couple of deeper breaths. Now we're going to work with a twist, a wall twist. So this is going to target the obliques, glutes, and a nice twist in the spine. So if we just allow the legs to fall to the right hand side. Now again, we can place the hands and the arms wherever is comfortable for us. We can put them out to the sides, we can put them above the head. They don't have to be symmetrical. And we just start to find that edge. So our target areas here again, the obliques, and the glutes. So breathing into those target areas. Breathing in and using the energetic body to relax the target area muscles, removing any stress or tension, moving it to the connective tissues, maybe allowing the posture to just open up a little bit. You might find that we just get a little bit more twist. It's also worth considering the direction of the head, whether we have the head facing to the left or the right, and you might explore the effect of that on the obliques in particular. Always interesting, I think, to explore these movements which just reinforce that we are in fact just one piece of interconnected fascia. So by moving the head in this sort of posture, we can sense changes in the target area. And just finding that stillness, exploring the connective tissue stress. In the left hand side, so the left oblique, left glute. Maybe also down the outside of the left leg, the IT band. And depending where we've got our arms, you might be feeling something in the inside of the arms. In terms of the bones, of course, one of the major benefits of this posture is the twist in the spine. So twisting the spine all the way up from the lumbar, through the thoracic, between the shoulders, up into the cervical spine. And again, how much twist we get in the cervical spine will depend where we have our head. So again, backgrounding the physical. Now we're settled and we're comfortable. And we can start to focus instead on the more subtle responses. Allowing the stillness of the mind. Creating an open field for those more subtle sensations to come to the fore. And enjoying the last minute in stillness and silence. Couple more breaths here before we get ready to move to the other side. Maybe a couple of deeper inhales and exhales. So maybe in your own time, just bringing those legs back up, straight up the wall. Probably a good time to check in and make sure that we've still got our hips as close to the wall as possible, just shuffling in there. And now we're going to do exactly what we did before to the other side. So whichever side you did the wall figure of 4 to before, we're now going to do the opposite. So we'll be working with the right side. So we'll be bringing that right leg, ankle on top of the left knee, and then working with that left knee, whether it's straight up or the degree to which we bring the foot down against the wall is going to dictate the intensity that Vanessa will be feeling in the right glute. So just starting to find our edge like that. You can also move the ankle across the knee if you want to. Less intensity by bringing it this way, as Vanessa's demonstrated, probably a little bit more, pushing it that way. And again, you could work with this position of the left foot on the wall, maybe walking it to the left or to the right. So just working with some of those combinations or options. There's no one fixed position for this. It's just, as with all functional yoga, functional yin, it's just what's actually working in the target area, which here is the right glute. So finding that edge, first edge, maybe even supporting that right knee as Vanessa's doing with the right hand. Relaxing the right glute, breathing into it, using the breath and the energetic body to relax the muscle. Inhaling into that muscle, the glute, and as we exhale, feeling the muscular stress move to the connective tissue where we want it, where we want to work with it. We want the stress there, of course, because we want to strengthen and lengthen these connective tissues around these joint sites so that we can maintain and maybe even improve our range of motion. Or at the very least, just stop the degeneration of that over time. So finding stillness, soft, open stillness that allows us to sink a little bit deeper as things open up. And in that stillness, exploring the connective tissue stress in the right glute, maybe the outside of the right leg, the IT band. And also in the bones. So knee, femur, pelvis, hip joint. Sometimes even a little bit in the base of the spine. And just taking those physical responses, moving them to the background, and bringing the more subtle responses and sensations forward. The clear open field that we have with mental stillness, allowing more subtle responses to be clearer. Thoughts, emotions, maybe even mild energetic responses. And just continue an open mind there for the last minute in stillness and silence. Couple more breaths here. Maybe make them deeper. Inhale, exhale, getting ready to move to our next posture, which, as we did on the other side, will be the wall twist, this time to the legs coming down to the left-hand side, so that we can work with the right glute. Finding the edge, relaxing that right glute and the obliques. Relaxing the muscles in that area, or maybe allow the posture to open up a little bit. And then we might see just some subtle movements in the body as that twist deepens a little bit. As we did on the other side, the arms can be out to the side or above the head. Really picking the variation that gives you the degree of intensity you want in that right oblique and glute area. Wherever you are now, just finding stillness. In that stillness, we explore the connective tissue stress in the right oblique glute, and maybe even down the IT band on the outside of the right leg there. If we want to here, we could just explore the direction that we've got the head pointing, and again just noting whether we twist the head, whether that has any effect on the stress, the physical stress in the obliques or the glute, and just settling in where we're most comfortable. Healthy stress also on the bones. Femur, pelvis, hip joint. But obviously the main effect on the bones is going to be up the spine. So a nice twist all the way up the spine, all the way from the lumbar, base of the spine, up to the thoracic, and up to the cervical spine or the neck, which again we can control depending on the direction we have the head pointing. So allowing the physical responses to just continue deepening. Nice and comfortable here, so we don't need to give them any more thought. We're well supported. And again, that gives us the opportunity to just open the gates within. The mental stillness just allows us to open up to the more subtle responses. Particularly the emotional responses here. We've a very open posture. We've got the chest and the heart open. So we may find that this sort of posture in particular can be quite emotional. And just exploring that in the final minute of stillness and silence in this posture. Couple more breaths here, maybe deepening the inhale and exhale. Getting ready to move to the next posture. And when you're comfortable, just taking the legs back up the wall. So the target area for our next posture is going to be the back. You may also feel something in the front of the body, but the target area is principally the thoracic. And from our starting position here, we're just going to bend the knees, bring the feet down against the wall, and then we're going to push up, arms out to the side, and then just start to elevate the hips. So pushing up, lifting the hips, coming up onto the shoulders. Now, if we're not comfortable here, if we feel that we're not transferring the load comfortably, then we might want to come back down, check that we've shuffled up against the wall, right up against the wall. Alternatively, we might want to put something under the shoulders, so a folded blanket for a bit more support and padding. But otherwise, just maintaining, pushing out. You can see that Vanessa here has almost got her calves and thighs at 90 degrees. It's not necessary to bring the hips right over the shoulders, but we just want to push out as far as we're creating some healthy stress there in the back. Reasonably short posture, this one. Just finding that edge. Relaxing the muscles in the back and certainly up at the upper body and the shoulders across the back. Finding stillness. There are further options here if you feel like a little bit more intensity by bringing either one or both legs over. If you bring both legs over, you would end up in a plough, obviously off the wall, and only if you're comfortable with that amount of stress around the upper body and the neck. Otherwise, you can just maintain the feet on the wall in wall arch. Quite different in their effect, so if we're in wall arch, we're quite open. And obviously if we're coming down into plough, then really the effects are focused much more in a rounding of the back. Maybe some stress in the back of the legs. Just a couple more breaths here. And now just relaxing, coming out, so maybe putting the legs back up against the wall. And just rolling to one side. We want to come over onto our front now for our final posture before our Shavasana. So just lying on your front and coming to a point where the knees are up against the wall. You want to be putting the shins up the wall. Shuffling in. We're effectively going to come into what is a Sphinx posture. and sometimes in a sphinx posture. In the typical floor yin, one of the more advanced options is to bend the knees up to get a little bit more stress into the posture. But here we're going to start with the shins up, supported by the wall. And then we're just going to come up onto the elbows to the degree that you're comfortable. So our target area is going to be the rectus abdominis in the front, so the abs in the front of the body. And we're obviously going to get some compression in the back. So really the position of the hands and the arms is up to you. The more you bring them in together, the more stress you're going to get in the back. If you want less stress, then just bring those elbows forward. So just finding your edge, finding the point at which you're getting some reasonable stress in the stomach muscles in the front of the body, a little bit of compression in the back, and just pausing there, breathing into the rectus abdominis, relaxing the muscles there. Maybe if the posture allows, opens up, you could adjust, maybe coming up a little bit higher if you want to. You could start to come into seal, as Vanessa's demonstrating, but again, just working with that to the degree you're comfortable. You will be getting some compression in the base of the spine, around the sacrum and lumbar. You don't want too much there. A little bit of discomfort's okay, but no pinching, no pain. So just working with what you can support for the next minute or so. And there's nothing wrong with trying out the seal, see what it feels like. Either if you're not comfortable, if it's too much, just coming back down onto the elbows, as Vanessa's demonstrated here. Again, always a bit of fun to explore the head. You can take the head back, or take the head to either or both sides, and just see what that does to the posture for you. At least next time you practice this, you'll know what head position is going to work best for you. Just a couple more breaths here. So maybe some deeper ones. Inhale and exhale. Before we release the hands, coming back to the mat. And then, your choice for Shavasana, you could either lie down on the mat, or since we've been lying and very well supported, you might want to come to a seated Shavasana for a change. So maybe you need a block, or just sit on the mat, legs crossed. Maybe you'd find it helpful to have a small dog for your Shavasana. Just coming to a comfortable seated position. Bringing the eyes to a close if you're comfortable. Ending as we started, with a focus on the breath. So from our seated posture, just becoming aware of the movement of air in and out of the body. Movement of air, the movement of energy. Making the breath the primary focus. And using that single focus to create some mental stillness. And with that stillness, just doing a bit of a scan of the body, seeing how it feels after the practice. Just noting how the target areas that we've worked feel. We've worked the back, we've worked the abs, the legs, a bit of upper body. Just noting how those individual parts of the body feel. And then maybe taking a step back. Taking a step back into the stillness. And looking or sensing the entire physical body. Just noting any sensations, starting with physical sensations. Maybe some areas feel a little bit tired, a little bit worked. Maybe others just feel relaxed. Spending a couple of breaths processing those sensations. And once we've done so, maybe stepping a little bit further back, becoming aware of the more subtle sensations. The energetic sensations, the emotions, and just sensing how we feel in relation to both of those. Our energetic well-being, our emotional well-being. Are we feeling balanced, re-energized, calm? Just spending the last half minute in silence. Keeping the eyes closed just for a moment. Take a couple of deep breaths. Start to become more aware of the immediate surroundings. We reach the end of our practice now, our 60-minute functional yin, wall yin practice. And just very gently blinking open the eyes. Namaste. Thank you for your practice. Namaste, Vanessa.
Namaste. Namaste.
A small dog is not a required prop, but can be helpful. It can also be very unhelpful. Namaste. Namaste, Luka, who's now asleep.